So I chose to paint a mountain lion for this piece because I just love how ghost-like they are and a bit majestic. And I often drive by this big craggy ridge and I always imagine a mountain lion perched on the top. Of course that never happens, but as artists we can create what we'd like to see. Before every painting I like to do a couple quick sketches. I do a couple different compositional ideas and just keep it very primitive. It just helps me visualize what I'd actually like to see. So I chose to go with this big rocky outcropping, a distant mountain scene there with a moon rising. There's going to be a wall of rock right there. And right here I'm going to actually have a dark shadow, as if the sun were just dipping below the horizon, and this mountain lion perched right here will be in the last light of the day. Decided maybe I would sketch out just a quick little tree branch and maybe hanging onto the side of the cliff and possibly a bird sitting there, although I chose eventually not to put that in. And I'm just putting a direction for where the light should be coming from. Okay, so the next step for my painting process is I always reference a color wheel. And I do this because I choose my colors ahead of time, at least what I'm going to be working with, and I'll be using a triadic color scheme. So I'm going to go with this magenta red, a blue, and a yellow. So that's called a triad. I'll also be including some warmer colors like orange and red for this mountain lion because it's going to be in the sun and it's going to be really warm colors, which will work really nicely with the cooler background. So a color wheel is like a mathematician's calculator. It's great to be able to reference, especially through the process. This is a Quiller color wheel from a book called Color Choices by Stephen Quiller. It's a great book if you want to learn more about color theory. I found it really eye-opening and there's exercises in the book, so check that out if you want. So here's my actual palette that I'll be using. I pulled some of these colors out. It's pretty basic and I'm going to keep it real simple through the process. So I got a little ahead of myself here. I started this painting and I didn't start recording, and sometimes you just get a little impatient and you just want to jump right in. But through this process, I just start off by basically creating somewhat simple tones. You can see I already started the sky with a basic gradient, and I'm already moving into where this rocky outcropping is. Now rocks are interesting to paint. You just kind of have to keep layering them and think a bit about how the light is hitting it. I'm putting in some shadows. I'm just breaking it up right now. Since I already chose my colors, I stay within what's considered a color gamut, and that's just within the zone of that triad. So as long as I stay within that zone, I know my colors are still going to be harmonious. There are things you can consider, especially with the sky and the shadows. Shadows are typically cool. Depends, however, on which type of piece you're working on. But I know when I get down to a shadow side, I'm actually going to put a bit of a cooler blue or magenta in the shadow to help make it harmonious. So this is my basic block-in phase. Next step, I decided I'm going to go ahead and make the sky quite a bit darker. I already had intended to make a darker sky, but sometimes I'll start off really thin and just get an idea of what I want to see. And I know since this mountain lion's going to be sitting in all this light, the darker you make the sky, the more the mountain lion's going to stand out. So it makes for a more dramatic scene. Now you notice at the beginning, I had actually toned my canvas using a transparent red oxide. And I'm actually going to leave the moon just that color. There's actually no paint over this moon. And it actually gives it a nice effect. Especially later on, I'll go over it just a little bit to make it look like it's further away. Now I did play around a little bit with this painting. I knew I was going to have these distant hills out there, And I considered maybe about having a bit of a fog or low clouds down below. And that's what I'm doing right now, is just kind of pushing colors and seeing if I am going to want to have that or not. In the end, I ended up just getting rid of it because I felt like it was going to be too distracting. But sometimes it's alright to just kind of try something else out, and especially if you're working alla prima method, wet on wet, you can actually get rid of stuff pretty quickly. So for this mountain line, I'm just kind of slowly building up to higher values. I like to keep it darker and more muted at first. It gives it a sense of more realism. I think a big mistake in painting often is just going too light too fast. And I'm a bit slow in that respect. I like to start off dark and then slowly build it from there, and I'll step back, take a look at it, and decide if I want to go higher key or keep it the same. So I'm mixing up some real dark right now, and this is going to actually be the shadow down lower. It could be a transition zone where you can imagine where the sun in the distance is setting down and that light is slowly climbing up, and so down below it would be like the transition line between the last light of the day and the shadow or the night coming. And I'm going over the rocks again, just kind of building up more and more layers. Every time you go over this, it just feels like it becomes a little bit more real. I pull up multiple references throughout this, different types of rocks and different styles. Kind of end up sticking with one, but there's many different styles of rocks. I realized I went a little too high key with this tail, so I'm actually going to go over it again and mute it way down. Because I think I will have this shadow as if this tail is just touching it. Now when you watch these time lapses, it seems like I'm moving real quick, but it takes me many hours to finish a painting like this. This is roughly 30 inches by 24 inches. And I might have had 40 or so hours into this painting. I do have a reference for this painting as far as this mountain line goes, so I'm looking at a different photo. But I actually pull up many photos as well. And sometimes I look at other artists and how they approach painting wildlife. I'm not a paint every single fur kind of guy. I like to use more brush strokes to communicate fur, so that also takes some time as well. So I'm also mindful of how I place my brush stroke, creating something called a focal point, which will be the darkest dark and the lightest light in the painting. That's going to be this mountain lion's head. The rest of the painting, a lot of my brush strokes are going to be softened, and full disclaimer, I did forget to record some of this. Of course I get ahead of myself again, but in the end product you'll be able to see what I mean. I also used some palette knife at the end to put a little more heavy texture on the mountain lion's face, and then I used a brush later on to help soften some of that. And with that, this is how I finished the mountain lion painting. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something from it. If you have any comments or questions, just go ahead and leave them below and I'll definitely answer it. But until next time, take care.